Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the research ship Prometheus. She watched the alien space station grow larger on the main screen. Today was the most important day in human history. First contact with aliens was finally happening. The space station, called Nexus Prime, looked like a massive wheel spinning slowly in space. Lights blinked along its surface in patterns humans had never seen before. Ships from dozens of different alien races docked at various ports around the station. "Ambassador Chen, we are getting a welcome message from the station," said Communications Officer Torres. "They are inviting us to dock at Port 7. Sarah felt her heart racing. She had trained for this moment her whole life. Earth had chosen her to represent all of humanity in these first meetings with the Galactic Consortium. "Send our response," Sarah said. "Tell them we accept their invitation and thank them for their welcome." The docking went smoothly. As Sarah and her team stepped off their ship, they saw aliens everywhere. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others crawled on multiple legs. A few floated in the air using some kind of technology. The alien who greeted them was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. His name was Zektar, and he spoke English with a strange accent. "Welcome, humans, to the Galactic Consortium," Zektar said. "We have waited long to meet your kind. Come, let us show you the wonders of galactic civilization." For 3 days, Sarah and her team toured the station. They saw amazing technology and met beings from hundreds of different worlds. The aliens shared their knowledge freely. They offered to teach humans about faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and medical advances that could cure every disease on Earth. Sarah felt hopeful. Maybe humans and aliens could work together to build a better future for everyone. Dr. Marcus Webb was part of Sarah's team. He was a language expert who studied how different species communicated. While Sarah met with alien leaders, Marcus walked around the station listening to conversations and learning new languages. On the 3rd day, Marcus was in a market area when he heard something that made his blood turn cold. 2 aliens were talking in a language his computer had just learned to translate. They were discussing business, but the words they used were wrong. "The shipment of small workers arrives tomorrow," one alien said to another. "Make sure the buyers have their payment ready." "What ages are they?" the second alien asked the usual. "Between 5 and 12 cycles old. The younger ones work better in the tight spaces." Marcus felt sick. He kept listening, hoping he was wrong about what he was hearing. "Any problems with the breeding stock?" the first alien asked. "No, the new ones are healthy. They should produce many more small workers in the coming seasons." Marcus's hands were shaking as he recorded the conversation. He walked away slowly, trying not to show his horror. He found a quiet corner and used his translator to check the conversation again. The meaning was clear. The aliens were talking about children. They were talking about buying and selling children like they were tools or animals. Marcus spent the next 2 hours walking around the station, listening carefully. What he heard made him want to scream. The aliens talked about children from different planets the same way humans might talk about different breeds of work animals. They discussed which species made the best soldiers when they were young, which ones were good for dangerous mining work, and which ones could be trained for other purposes Marcus did not want to think about. When Marcus found Sarah, she was in a meeting room with Zektar and several other alien officials. They were discussing trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Sarah was smiling and taking notes. The aliens seemed friendly and helpful. Marcus waited until the meeting ended. Then he asked Sarah to come with him to a private room on their ship. "Sarah, we need to talk," Marcus said. His voice was shaking. "I have something to show you and you are not going to like it." Marcus played the recordings for Sarah. He explained what the words meant and showed her more conversations he had recorded. With each new recording, Sarah's face became more pale. "Marcus, are you sure about these translations?" Sarah asked. "Maybe there is some mistake." "I checked them 20 times, Marcus said. "I even had the computer verify with 3 different language databases. There is no mistake, Sarah. These aliens have been buying and selling children for thousands of years. They think it is normal." Sarah sat in silence for a long time. Then she stood up and walked to the wall display showing star charts of the galaxy. Hundreds of alien civilizations were marked on the map. Each dot represented billions of beings. "How many children?" Sarah asked quietly. "From what I can understand, millions," Marcus said. "Maybe billions. They take children from planets they conquer. Sometimes they take all the children and leave the adults to die. Sometimes they kill the adults and keep only the young ones." Sarah turned back to Marcus. Her eyes were cold in a way he had never seen before. Get me a secure communication line to Earth, Sarah said. Priority 1. And Marcus? Yes, Ambassador. Start recording everything. Every conversation, every document, every piece of evidence you can find. We are going to need it all. That evening, Sarah had dinner with Zektar and other alien leaders as planned. She smiled and made small talk about Earth's culture and technology. But inside she was burning with anger. Your species seems very protective of your young, Zektar commented during the meal. We noticed in your entertainment broadcasts that human adults spend much time caring for children. Yes, Sarah said carefully. Humans value children very highly. We believe they represent our future. How interesting, said another alien named Grexnall. Most species find that young ones are much more useful when properly directed. They learn faster and complain less about difficult work. Sarah felt her stomach turn, but she kept her voice calm. What kind of work do you mean? Oh, the usual things, Grexnall said. Mining, construction, entertainment, military service. Young beings are perfect for dangerous tasks because they have not yet learned to be afraid. Zektar noticed Sarah's expression had changed. Is something wrong, Ambassador Chen? You look upset. Sarah put down her fork and looked directly at Zektar. I need to ask you something, and I want a clear answer. Does the Galactic Consortium practice slavery? The aliens looked confused by the question. Slavery? Zektar said. What an odd word. We prefer to call it resource optimization. When we find useful beings on primitive worlds, we relocate them to places where their abilities can be better utilized. And these useful beings, Sarah said, they include children? Of course, Zektar said. Young beings are often the most valuable resources a world can offer. Why do you ask? Sarah stood up from the table. Every alien in the room was looking at her now. She could feel their confusion at her reaction. Because you have made a grave miscalculation about humanity, Sarah said. Her voice was cold and steady. We do not see children as resources. We see them as precious lives that must be protected. Every single one of them. But they are just young beings from primitive species, Grexnall said. Surely you understand that developed civilizations know better how to use them effectively. Sarah stared at the alien for a long moment. Then she spoke words that would be remembered throughout the galaxy. You assume we will accept this because it is normal for you. You think we will understand because we are new to galactic civilization. You believe we will see reason because we want to join your consortium. Sarah walked toward the door, then turned back to face the aliens. You are wrong about everything. We will never accept the abuse of children. We will never understand how any thinking being could hurt the young. And we will never join any organization that treats children as property. Sarah paused at the door. You wanted to meet humanity. Now you have. We are the species that does not compromise when it comes to protecting children. Remember that. Sarah left the room, leaving behind very confused aliens who had no idea what they had just started. Back on the Prometheus, Sarah sent an emergency message to Earth. The message was simple but would change the course of human history. First contact complete. Galactic Consortium practices child slavery on massive scale. Recommend immediate recall of all diplomatic missions. We cannot and will not work with these beings. Detailed evidence attached. Ambassador Chen. As the Prometheus prepared to leave Nexus Prime, Sarah stood on the bridge one more time. She looked out at the alien space station and thought about all the children suffering somewhere in the galaxy, while aliens talked about trade and civilization. Ambassador, Marcus said quietly, what do you think Earth will do? Sarah did not take her eyes off the station. I think the galaxy is about to learn what happens when you threaten human children. And I do not think they are going to like the lesson. The Prometheus turned away from Nexus Prime and headed home to Earth, carrying news that would wake something ancient and terrible in the human spirit. The aliens had no idea what was coming for them, but they would learn soon enough. The emergency session at the United Nations lasted for 18 hours. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat in stunned silence as they watched Ambassador Chen's recordings. The evidence was clear and horrible. The galaxy was full of civilizations that bought and sold children like animals. President Martinez of the Global Coalition stood at the podium. Her face was pale, but her voice was strong. Fellow leaders of Earth, she said, we have learned something about our galactic neighbors that changes everything. They practice slavery. They steal children from their families and use them as workers, soldiers, and worse. Angry voices filled the assembly hall. Representatives shouted questions and demands. Some called for immediate military action. Others wanted to cut all contact with the aliens completely. "What do they expect us to do?" asked the representative from Japan. "Join their system and pretend we do not see what they are doing to children?" "They think it is normal," said the representative from Brazil. "They cannot understand why we are upset." President Martinez raised her hand for silence. "The aliens have contacted us again. Admiral Vorth of something called the Hegemony Fleet sent us a message this morning." The main screen showed a recording of an alien that looked like a giant insect with multiple eyes. Admiral Vorth spoke in a buzzing voice that the computer translated into emotionless words. "Humans of Earth," the recording said, "your diplomatic team has left our space station without completing negotiations. This behavior is unacceptable. You must return and apologize for your rudeness. You must also agree to follow established galactic commerce laws. If you refuse, we will impose economic sanctions and consider military action against your primitive world." The recording ended. The assembly hall was completely quiet. "They are threatening us," said the representative from Canada. "They want us to apologize for not accepting child slavery." "What do we tell them?" asked someone from the back of the room. President Martinez looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. In every face she saw the same thing: anger. Not just ordinary anger, but the deep burning fury that comes when someone threatens children. "We tell them the truth," President Martinez said. "We tell them that Earth does not recognize any government that enslaves children. We tell them that we will never compromise on this issue, and we tell them that they have made the biggest mistake in galactic history." The vote was unanimous. Every nation on Earth agreed to the same policy: no cooperation with any government that practiced child slavery. While politicians argued in meeting rooms, something else was happening across Earth. News of the alien child slavery had leaked to the public. Social media exploded with anger and demands for action. Parents held their own children closer and imagined what alien parents must be feeling. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked in the xenobiology laboratory at the Global Science Institute. She had been studying the alien data that Ambassador Chen brought back from Nexus Prime. What she found made her sick to her stomach. Elena's computer screen showed star charts with hundreds of red marks. Each mark represented a world where the consortium had taken children. Her analysis software had been running for 3 days, trying to understand the pattern. "Computer, show me the timeline for system GX7742, Elena said. The screen changed to show a beautiful blue-green planet. Text scrolled beside the image. "Initial contact 847 galactic cycles ago. Adult population eliminated. Useful resources 50,000 young beings relocated for optimal utilization." Elena's hands shook as she read the report. 50,000 children. An entire generation stolen from their world. And this was just one planet out of hundreds. "Computer, show me what happened to the adults on these worlds." The answer came back in cold, scientific language. On most worlds, the adult population had been killed or left to die. The aliens found it easier to take children who would not remember their homes or families. Some worlds had been completely emptied of intelligent life except for the young ones who were taken away. Elena called her supervisor. "Dr. Martinez, you need to see this. The scale is worse than we thought." Dr. Martinez came to Elena's laboratory and looked at the data. His face became very pale as he read the reports. "Elena, how many children are we talking about?" "Based on the data we have, at least 10 billion, Elena said. "Maybe more. And that is just from the worlds we know about." Dr. Martinez sat down heavily in a chair. 10 billion children stolen from their families. "There is more," Elena said. "Look at this pattern." The screen showed a map of the galaxy. Red lines connected different star systems. "The consortium does not just take children randomly," Elena explained. "They study each species first. They decide which children will make the best workers for different jobs. Then they take only the young ones and destroy the rest of the civilization." "They are not just practicing slavery," Dr. Martinez said slowly. "They are committing genocide," Elena nodded. "Complete destruction of entire species except for the children they want to keep." Dr. Martinez stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see children playing in the park across the street. Human children, safe and free and loved by their families. "Elena, send this data to the president immediately, and send a copy to General Harrison at the Defense Ministry. What do you think will happen now?" Elena asked. Dr. Martinez turned back to her. I think Earth is about to show the galaxy what humans do when someone hurts children. At the same time, in a secret meeting room deep underground, General Harrison was briefing President Martinez and the Defense Council. The room was filled with military leaders from every major nation on Earth. The aliens think we are weak, General Harrison said. They believe we will eventually accept their way of doing things because we want their technology. Admiral Vorth's message made that clear, President Martinez said. He thinks he can threaten us into compliance. Madam President, said Admiral Thompson of the Space Force, our intelligence suggests the aliens have weapons and ships that are much more advanced than ours. A direct military confrontation would be suicide. Then we do not fight them directly, said General Harrison, at least not at first. General Harrison activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. According to Ambassador Chen's data, the consortium controls about 60% of known space. But their control depends on fear and superior technology, not on the loyalty of the species they rule. What are you suggesting? Asked President Martinez. I am suggesting that we are not the only species in the galaxy that hates what the consortium does, General Harrison said. We just might be the first ones with the courage to do something about it. The room was quiet as everyone thought about this. You want to start a rebellion, said Admiral Thompson. I want to save children, General Harrison replied. If that requires a rebellion, then yes. President Martinez looked around the table at Earth's military leaders. Can we do this? Can we really fight the most powerful alliance in the galaxy? Madam President, said Colonel Williams, my daughter is 8 years old. When I think about some alien taking her away to work in a mine or fight in their army, I know we have to try. My son is 10, said Admiral Thompson. If we do nothing, then we are saying their lives do not matter as much as our safety. One by one, every person in the room spoke. They all said the same thing. They would rather die fighting than live knowing they had done nothing to help the children. President Martinez stood up. Then we are agreed. General Harrison, I am authorizing Operation Guardian Angel. You have unlimited resources and complete authority to prepare Earth for war. What about the aliens? Asked Admiral Thompson. Vorth is still waiting for our answer to his threats. President Martinez smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Send Admiral Vorth a message. Tell him that Earth does not negotiate with anyone who enslaves children. Tell him we do not fear his threats. And tell him that he has awakened something in humanity that he will regret for the rest of his very short life. 3 days later, Admiral Vorth received Earth's response. He read it twice, then called an emergency meeting of the Hegemony Fleet Command. The humans have rejected our offer to join galactic civilization, Vorth announced to his officers. They claim they will not cooperate with any species that practices resource optimization of young beings. Sir, asked Commander Krexnall, what are our orders? The humans must be taught that defying the consortium has consequences, Vorth said. Prepare disciplinary Fleet Gamma for deployment to the human system. We will make an example of Earth that other primitive species will not forget. As Vorth's fleet prepared for war, none of the aliens understood what they had started. They thought they were dealing with another primitive species that would surrender when faced with superior force. They had no idea they were about to fight a species that valued children above their own lives. On Earth, factories that had once made cars and computers now worked day and night building spaceships and weapons. Every major corporation had volunteered their facilities for the war effort. Engineers who had never worked together before shared ideas and designs freely. In workshops around the world, ordinary people melted down jewelry and metal objects to provide materials for the military. Farmers donated food for the troops. Teachers quit their jobs to work in weapons factories. But the most important work was happening in the deep space laboratories, where Earth's best scientists were developing something the galaxy had never seen. Weapons designed not Admiral Jackson Reeves had fought in every major space conflict in human history. He had seen the worst that war could offer, but nothing had prepared him for this moment, standing in the command center of the largest military project Earth had ever undertaken. Around him, holographic displays showed the construction progress at shipyards in orbit around Earth, the Moon, and Mars. Thousands of ships were being built at the same time. Not just military vessels, but rescue ships, medical ships, and transport ships designed to carry children safely home. Admiral, said Captain Morrison, walking up with a data pad. "The final construction reports from the Luna shipyards." Jackson took the pad and studied the numbers. In 6 months, humanity had built more spaceships than they had in the previous 50 years. Every nation had contributed resources, technology, and people. The project had united Earth in a way that nothing else ever had. "How many ships total?" Jackson asked. 12,000 combat vessels, 8,000 rescue ships, and 15,000 support craft, Captain Morrison replied. "The largest fleet in human history," Jackson nodded. It was impressive, but he wondered if it would be enough. Intelligence reports suggested the consortium had millions of ships spread across the galaxy. Earth was still badly outnumbered. "What about the new technology?" Jackson asked. "Dr. Tanaka's team finished testing the Mercy drive yesterday," Captain Morrison said. "It works exactly as designed. We can jump our ships directly into enemy territory and extract children from any location." Jackson walked over to a large display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked known consortium slave facilities. There were thousands of them. "The moral calculations are clear," Jackson said quietly. "We cannot save everyone at once. We have to choose which children to rescue first." It was the hardest part of planning Operation Guardian Angel. Every day they delayed meant more children suffered. But if they moved too quickly, they would lose the element of surprise and save fewer people overall. Dr. Elena Vasquez entered the command center carrying a thick folder of reports. Her team had been analyzing consortium data for months, trying to understand how the alien slave system worked. "Admiral," Elena said, "we have identified the 17 most critical facilities. These locations hold the largest numbers of children and are the easiest for our forces to reach." Jackson took the folder and opened it. The first page showed images of alien structures that looked like giant prisons. The text below each image made his stomach turn. Facility Omega-7, estimated 50,000 children from 23 species. Primary use mining operations in hazardous environments. Facility Delta-12, estimated 75,000 children from 31 species. Primary use military training and combat operations. Jackson closed the folder. "Elena, how certain are you about these numbers?" "Very certain," Elena replied. "We cross-referenced the data with communications intercepts and surveillance images. The numbers might actually be higher." Jackson turned to Captain Morrison. "Send word to Dr. Tanaka. I want the Mercy drive equipped on every rescue ship in the fleet. We are going to hit all 17 facilities at the same time." "Sir," Captain Morrison said carefully, "that means dividing our forces across multiple star systems. If the consortium responds quickly, our ships could be trapped." "Then we make sure they do not respond quickly," Jackson said. He walked back to the galaxy display and pointed to a cluster of red dots. "We hit their communication centers first. Blind them. Then we rescue the children before they know what is happening." While Earth's military prepared for war, something was happening in the consortium that nobody expected. The aliens were having trouble understanding why humans were so upset about child slavery. Admiral Vorth stood in his command ship, reading reports from his intelligence officers. They had been studying human society for months, trying to understand the strange reaction to consortium practices. "Sir," said Intelligence Officer Rixtal, "our analysis of human behavior patterns shows an unusual attachment to immature members of their species." "Explain." Vorth ordered. "Humans spend enormous resources protecting and caring for their young." Rixtal continued. "Adult humans will sacrifice their own lives to save human children, even children who are not genetically related to them." Vorth's mandibles clicked in confusion. "That makes no evolutionary sense. Why would a species waste resources on weak individuals who cannot contribute to society?" "We believe it is a primitive instinct," Rixtal said. "Most species evolve beyond such inefficient behaviors as they develop advanced civilization. So the humans are simply too primitive to understand efficient resource management." Vorth concluded. "That appears to be correct." "Sir?" Vorth turned to his tactical officer. "Commander Krexnall, what is the status of Disciplinary Fleet Gamma?" "Fully prepared for deployment, sir," Krexnall replied. 200 warships equipped with the latest consortium technology. More than enough to deal with a primitive species like humanity. "Good," Vorth said. "We will teach these humans about the realities of galactic civilization. Once they see our superior firepower, they will surrender and accept proper resource management policies." What the aliens did not understand was that they were not just fighting humans. They were fighting human parents. And human parents who know their children are in danger are the most dangerous force in the universe. On Earth, ordinary people were doing extraordinary things. Maria Santos worked in a car factory that had been converted to build spaceship engines. She had not seen her family in 3 weeks because she was working 20-hour days. "Why are you pushing yourself so hard?" her supervisor asked during a rare break. Maria looked at the picture on her workstation. It showed her 8-year-old daughter Anna playing in their backyard. "Because somewhere in the galaxy, there is a mother like me who has not seen her child in years," Maria said. "Because some alien took that child away and is making her work in a mine or fight in a war. I cannot save that mother's child if I go home early." Stories like Maria's were happening all over Earth. Retired engineers came out of retirement to design better weapons. Farmers worked extra hours to grow food for the military. Teachers created training programs to help soldiers learn alien languages. Most importantly, parents everywhere made the same decision. They would rather risk their own lives than let alien children suffer while Earth did nothing. Dr. Yuki Tanaka had not slept more than 4 hours a night in months. Her team was working on the final details of the Mercy Drive technology, and every day they delayed meant more children remained in alien hands. "Dr. Tanaka," said her assistant, "the test results from the Mars facility are ready." Yuki looked at the data on her screen. The Mercy Drive could move a ship instantly across space with perfect accuracy. More importantly, it could extract people from dangerous locations without harming them. "How many children can we evacuate in a single operation?" Yuki asked. "Depending on the ship size, between 500 and 2,000 per rescue vessel," her assistant replied. Yuki did the math in her head. With 8,000 rescue ships, they could evacuate millions of children in the first wave of operations. But there were billions of children enslaved across the galaxy. "We need more ships," Yuki said. "Dr. Tanaka, we are already building ships faster than any civilization in galactic history." "Then we build them even faster," Yuki replied. "Every day we wait, alien children are suffering. That is not acceptable." Yuki walked to the window of her laboratory. Outside, she could see construction sites where new shipyards were being built. Lights burned throughout the night as workers raced to complete the facilities. "Computer," Yuki said, "show me the construction timeline for the second wave of rescue ships." "Second wave construction will be complete in 8 months, the computer replied. "Not fast enough," Yuki said. "Run optimization scenarios. I want to know how to cut that time in half." While scientists worked on technology and engineers built ships, Earth's military leaders planned the most complex rescue operation in history. They had to coordinate attacks across 17 star systems simultaneously, rescue hundreds of thousands of children, and fight off consortium forces at the same time. General Harrison stood in front of a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red lines showed planned attack routes. Blue lines showed evacuation paths. Green dots marked safe zones where rescued children could be taken for medical care and protection. "The biggest challenge," General Harrison explained to his staff, "is that we do not know what condition the children will be in when we find them." "What do you mean, sir?" asked Colonel Williams. "According to Dr. Vasquez's reports, many of these children have been enslaved for years. They may be injured, sick, or traumatized. Some may not trust any adult, even humans trying to rescue them." General Harrison pointed to the green dots on the map. "That is why we are not just planning military operations. We are planning the largest humanitarian mission in galactic history." The green dots represented temporary bases where Earth's best doctors, psychologists, and social workers would care for rescued children. Each base was designed to handle children from multiple alien species with different biological and psychological needs. The attack began at exactly 800 Galactic Standard Time across 17 star systems. Human ships equipped with Mercy Drive technology appeared without warning at the largest consortium slave facilities in the galaxy. At Facility Omega-7, Commander Lisa Santos led the rescue operation. Her ship, the Hope's Light, materialized directly above the alien complex where 50,000 children were held in underground mining chambers. "All teams, this is Santos," she broadcast to her fleet. "Remember, we are here to save lives, not take them. Every child counts. No acceptable losses." The alien guards at Omega-7 were completely surprised. They had never seen ships appear out of nowhere before. Their weapons were designed to stop escaping slaves, not to fight military vessels. Lisa's tactical officer reported, "Commander, We have located the main holding areas. Children are being kept in sections 7 through 15. Deploy rescue teams immediately, Lisa ordered. Medical teams prepare for multiple species trauma treatment. Human soldiers equipped with portable translation devices and medical scanners moved through the facility. What they found made even the toughest veterans weep. Children from dozens of different species were chained in small cells. Many were injured from dangerous mining work. Others were sick from poor food and medical neglect. The youngest ones looked to be no more than 5 years old in human terms. Sergeant Rodriguez was the first to reach holding Section 7. Through his helmet camera, everyone in the command center could see rows of small cells containing alien children. "My God," Rodriguez whispered. "There are so many of them." "Sergeant," Lisa's voice came through his radio. "Can you communicate with them?" Rodriguez activated his translation device and spoke slowly to the nearest group of children. They were small, furry beings with large eyes that showed nothing but fear. "We are here to help you," Rodriguez said. The device translated his words into their language. "We are going to take you away from this place." The children did not respond. They pressed themselves against the back walls of their cells, terrified of another adult who might hurt them. Rodriguez sat down slowly to make himself less threatening. He took off his helmet so the children could see his face. "I know you are scared," he said gently. "I know adults have hurt you before, but we are different. We came here just to save you." One of the older children, maybe 10 years old, spoke in a whisper. The translator converted his words. "Are you going to make us work in the deep tunnels?" Rodriguez felt tears in his eyes. "No, little one. You will never have to work in tunnels again. We are going to take you somewhere safe where you can play and learn and be children." It took hours to convince the children that the humans were really there to help. Many of them had never known an adult who did not hurt them or force them to work. The concept of rescue was completely foreign, but gradually the children began to trust. They saw that the humans were gentle. They saw that the humans brought medical supplies and food instead of chains and work tools. Similar scenes played out at facilities across the galaxy. At Facility Delta 12, human soldiers found 75,000 children who had been trained as soldiers for the Consortium Army. These children were older and more aggressive. Having been taught that violence was the only way to survive, Captain Robert Kim led the rescue at Delta 12. His teams faced a different challenge. The children had been trained to fight and viewed all adults as either masters or enemies. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Chen, "the children in Sector 12 are armed and barricaded. They think we are here to punish them for something." "Keep trying to communicate," Kim ordered. "Use the translation protocol Dr. Vasquez developed for traumatized child soldiers." The protocol was based on Elena's research into how the Consortium conditioned children. Instead of giving orders, the humans had to prove they were different from the aliens the children knew. Kim decided to try a direct approach. He walked slowly toward the barricaded area with his hands raised and his weapons clearly visible on the ground behind him. "I am Captain Kim," he announced through the translator. "I am a human from a planet called Earth. I came here with many other humans to take you away from the people who hurt you." A voice called back from behind the barricade. The translator converted it. "Humans are new slaves? You work for the masters too?" "No," Kim replied. "Humans do not work for the Consortium. We came here to fight them because they hurt children. On our world, adults protect children instead of using them." There was a long silence. Then a different voice spoke. "You lie. All adults use children. That is the way things are." Kim sat down on the floor to show he was not threatening. "I understand why you think that. The aliens who hurt you want you to believe all adults are the same, but I have something to show you." Kim activated a small holographic projector. It showed images of Earth, human children playing in parks, human families eating together, human parents reading bedtime stories to their young ones. "This is my world," Kim said. "These are human children. They do not work in mines or fight in wars. They go to school to learn things they want to learn. They play games for fun. Their parents keep them safe." The barricade was quiet for a long time. Then slowly a small face appeared over the top. It belonged to a child who looked about 12 years old with blue skin and silver eyes. "Is this real?" the child asked. "Do human children really play instead of work?" "Yes," Kim said. "And if you come with us, you can play too. You can learn to be children again instead of soldiers." Breaking through years of conditioning took time, but gradually the children began to emerge from their barricade. They had been taught that weakness meant death, but the humans showed them that gentleness could be strength. At Facility Kappa 9, Dr. Sarah Martinez led a medical team through corridors filled with sick children. This facility had been used for medical experiments, and many of the children had been deliberately infected with diseases to test alien treatments. Medical Team 7, Sarah called into her radio. I need immediate support in Section 4. We have children with advanced neural parasites. The alien experiments had been designed to make children more compliant and easier to control. Seeing the results made Sarah so angry she could barely speak. How could anyone do this to children? Asked Dr. Johnson, one of her team members. Because they do not see them as children, Sarah replied. They see them as test subjects and tools. But we are going to undo as much of this damage as we can. The human medical teams worked around the clock to treat thousands of sick children. They used the most advanced medical technology Earth had ever developed, technology that had been created specifically for this mission. But the aliens were not sitting idle while humans rescued their slaves. Consortium forces began responding to the attacks, though their response was confused and uncoordinated. At Facility Omega 7, Lisa Santos received an urgent communication from her tactical officer. Commander, Consortium ships are approaching. Estimated arrival in 30 minutes. Lisa looked at her rescue progress display. They had evacuated 30,000 children, but 20,000 were still trapped in the lower levels of the facility. How much time do we need to finish the evacuation? Lisa asked. At least 2 hours, Commander. Lisa made a decision that would be remembered throughout the galaxy. All combat ships form defensive positions around the facility. All rescue ships continue evacuation operations. We do not leave until every child is safe. Commander, her first officer said quietly, we cannot fight the entire consortium fleet. If we stay, we will probably all die. Lisa looked at the screen showing the children still being brought up from the mining levels. Some were so weak they had to be carried. Others were injured and needed immediate medical attention. Lieutenant, Lisa said, my daughter is 12 years old. If she were trapped in that facility, I would want someone to stay and save her even if it meant risking their own life. The consortium fleet arrived expecting to find human ships loaded with stolen slaves preparing to flee. Instead, they found human warships in defensive formation, clearly prepared to fight to the death. Admiral Kexvar commanded the consortium response force. He opened a communication channel to the human fleet. Human vessels, he transmitted. You are in violation of galactic law. Return our property immediately and we will allow you to leave. Lisa Santos responded from the bridge of Hope's Light. Admiral, we do not recognize your authority over children. We will not return any child to slavery. Then you will all die for your stubbornness, Kexvar replied. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The consortium ships had superior weapons and numbers, but the human ships fought with a desperation that the aliens could not understand. When the Hope's Light took severe damage to its main engines, Lisa could have ordered an evacuation. Instead, she ordered her crew to abandon ship while she stayed behind to manually operate the defensive systems. Commander, her first officer begged over the radio. Come with us. The ship is lost. Negative, Lisa replied. Someone has to keep the shields up until the last children are evacuated. That someone is me. Lisa Santos died alone on the bridge of her ship, but her sacrifice allowed the rescue teams to save the last 847 children from Facility Omega 7. When news of Lisa's death reached Earth, something changed in the human military. The losses were no longer just acceptable casualties. They were personal sacrifices made for children who had no one else. The fortress world of Tiamat Prime was the heart of the consortium's slave trade. Hidden in a star system surrounded by black holes and neutron stars, it was considered impregnable. Over 100,000 children from 200 different species were held in the massive complex that covered half the planet's surface. Admiral Jackson Reeves stood in the command center of the human flagship Defiant, studying tactical displays that showed Tiamat Prime's defenses. Energy shields protected the planet. Thousands of automated weapon platforms orbited in defensive formations. A fleet of 500 consortium warships patrolled the system. Admiral, reported Captain Morrison, final intelligence estimates confirm over 100,000 children are being held on the surface. The facility spans 14 time zones. Jackson nodded grimly. This would be the largest rescue operation in the war so far. It would also be the most dangerous, sir, asked Dr. Elena Vasquez, who had joined the mission as an advisor. How do we extract that many children from a fortified planet? Jackson turned to face his senior staff. Around the table sat the best military minds Earth had produced, along with Dr. Yuki Tanaka, whose Mercy Drive technology had made the rescue missions possible. We do not assault the fortress, Jackson said. We dismantle it. Explain, Admiral, requested General Harrison, who was commanding the ground forces. Jackson activated a three-dimensional hologram of Tiamat Prime and its defensive systems. The consortium expects us to attack their shields and fight through their fleet. They are prepared for that kind of battle. What are you suggesting instead? Asked Dr. Tanaka. 17 minutes, Jackson said. That is how long it will take coordinated strikes from our entire fleet to completely destroy every defensive platform, communication center, and military installation in the system. Captain Morrison looked shocked. Sir, that would require our ships to accept mutual destruction. We would lose most of the fleet. Not most of it, Jackson replied quietly. All of it. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what the Admiral was proposing. A suicide mission to save the children. Admiral, Dr. Vasquez said carefully, surely there must be another way. Jackson looked at each person around the table. Elena, how many children die in consortium facilities every day? Elena checked her datapad. Based on our intelligence, approximately 50,000 per day across all facilities. And how long would a conventional siege of Tiamat Prime take? Months, maybe years, General Harrison admitted. So while we conduct a safe, conventional attack, millions more children die, Jackson concluded. That is not acceptable. But Admiral, protested Dr. Tanaka, if we lose the entire fleet here, we cannot rescue children from other facilities. Jackson smiled sadly. Yuki, you are forgetting something. This is not the only human fleet. Jackson activated another display showing ship construction facilities throughout human space. While we have been fighting, Earth has been building. In the 6 months since the war began, we have constructed 4 more fleets this size. 4 more? Captain Morrison asked in amazement. Every major corporation, every small business, every individual citizen has contributed to the war effort, Jackson explained. Parents are melting down jewelry to provide metal for ships. Children are donating their allowances to buy medical supplies. Entire cities have volunteered to work in weapons factories. Dr. Vasquez looked at the construction reports. These numbers are incredible. How is Earth sustaining this level of production? Because every human understands what we are fighting for, Jackson replied. We are not fighting for territory or resources or political power. We are fighting for the right of children to be safe and loved. General Harrison studied the tactical display of Tiamat Prime. Admiral, even if we destroy the defenses, how do we extract 100,000 children from a planet-sized facility? Jackson turned to Dr. Tanaka. Yuki, show them your latest modification to the Mercy Drive. Dr. Tanaka activated her own holographic display. It showed a new type of ship design that looked different from anything they had seen before. I call it the Guardian Angel, Dr. Tanaka said. It is not designed to fight or to carry weapons. It is designed to carry children. The ship in the hologram was massive, with multiple decks and thousands of small rooms. Each Guardian Angel can carry up to 10,000 children safely, Dr. Tanaka continued. It has medical facilities, food preparation areas, recreation spaces, and rooms designed for different species' needs. How many Guardian Angels do we have? Asked General Harrison. 15, Dr. Tanaka replied. They were completed yesterday at the Luna shipyards. Jackson looked around the table one more time. So here is the plan. We destroyed Tiamat Prime's defenses in 17 minutes, accepting the loss of our combat fleet. The Guardian Angels use that window to extract all 100,000 children. Then they jump to safety while we cover their retreat. And our combat ships? Asked Captain Morrison. Our combat ships die to save the children, Jackson said simply. Just like Commander Santos did at Omega 7. Just like Captain Kim did at Delta 12. Just like 12,000 other humans have done in this war. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Dr. Vasquez spoke. Admiral, I want to volunteer for the mission. Elena, you are not military personnel. Sir, these children have been traumatized in ways we can barely imagine. They will need people who understand their psychology and can help them trust us. I have spent 6 months studying consortium slave conditioning. I know how to reach them. One by one, every person in the room volunteered for the mission. They all understood they would probably die, but they also understood that 100,000 children needed them. Meanwhile, in the Tiamat Prime system, consortium forces were preparing for the expected human attack. Supreme Commander Zethkar had spent weeks strengthening the defenses and positioning his fleet. The humans will come, Zethkar told his officers. Their previous attacks have followed predictable patterns. They will send a small force to test our defenses, then retreat to plan a larger assault. Sir, asked his tactical advisor, what if they attempt another of their rapid extraction operations? Impossible, Zethkar replied. Tiamat Prime is too well defended. Our shields will prevent any unauthorized teleportation onto the planet's surface. The humans will have to fight through our fleet. First, what Zethkar did not understand was that humans had learned to fight in ways the consortium had never seen before. The attack began exactly as Admiral Reeves had planned. Human ships appeared throughout the Tiamat Prime system simultaneously, not in one large fleet, but in hundreds of small groups that attacked different targets. All ships, Jackson broadcast to the human fleet, remember why we are here. Every second we buy with our lives is another second for the children to escape. Make every shot count. The human ships did not try to protect themselves. Instead, they flew directly at their targets, using their own destruction to clear the way for the guardian angels. Captain Lisa Park commanded the destroyer Vengeance. Her target was Defense Platform 7, which controlled the shield generators protecting the planet's northern hemisphere. Captain, her tactical officer reported, if we ram the platform at full speed, we can destroy its shield generators, but our ship will be completely destroyed. Understood, Lisa replied. All crew to escape pods. Evacuate immediately. Captain, what about you? Someone has to pilot the ship, Lisa said. I will stay until the last moment, then eject. But as Defense Platform 7 loomed larger on the main screen, Lisa realized there was not enough time to eject and still guarantee hitting the target. She made the same choice that hundreds of other human captains made that day. She stayed with her ship. The Vengeance struck Defense Platform 7 at full speed, destroying both the platform and the ship instantly. But the explosion created a gap in Tiamat Prime's defenses that allowed 3 guardian angels to reach the planet's surface. Similar sacrifices happened throughout the system. Human ships gave their lives to destroy communication arrays, weapon platforms, and shield generators. The consortium forces fought back desperately, but they could not stop an enemy that treated death as an acceptable cost for saving children. Supreme Commander Zethkar watched in horror as his defenses crumbled. How are they doing this? He demanded. No species fights like this. Sir, his tactical officer replied, they are not fighting to win. They are fighting to create openings for their rescue ships. On the planet's surface, the Guardian Angels began the largest evacuation in galactic history. Each ship could carry 10,000 children, but extracting them from the massive slave facility was incredibly difficult. Young Zephyrian Kixtal had been a slave on Tiamat Prime for 3 years. He was only 10 years old when the consortium took him from his homeworld and brought him here to work in the crystal mines. He had not seen sunlight in months. When the explosion started in the sky above, Kixtal was working in Tunnel Section 47 with hundreds of other children from dozens of species. The alien guards were shouting and running around, confused by the attacks happening in space. Then something impossible happened. The tunnel wall exploded inward, but instead of more guards or mining equipment,